Hey everybody, Ken Jamaca with WeHeartRoseville.com and Team Jamaca Real Estate, here with Wendy Gerig of the Roseville Area Chamber of Commerce, who so graciously allowed us to interview her. She wanted to make somebody else do it, but we insisted because she's like knees on a bee. So that's where we got. So thank you for agreeing to our shenanigans.
My pleasure.
So I heard a rumor, it's been 27 years that you've been the CEO of the Chamber. That is a long time.
It's a very long time, and it seemed longer this past year. Let me just tell you
I think 10 of those years were in 2020,
yes,
right?
I think so. I think so. Well, I was living in Benicia, California, wonderful waterfront community.
Yeah.
I was married to my husband. We had 2 small children. I was the executive director at the Benicia Chamber of Commerce.
Okay.
I had been there for 12 years, and I said, it's probably time to move on.
Do something else?
So this job came open, and my sister lives in Reno, and we would drive by Roseville all the time. I never stopped in Roseville, but drove by it, was very familiar with it, did my research, and the rest is history. So I'll do it with 2 different hats on it. I'll do it from the chamber, and to me, one of the things that has enabled me to be so successful here is the excellent working relationship that the chamber has with our city.
Okay.
So I've seen several different city managers, but they all seem to embrace that same concept of let's work together.
Sure.
Now you would think that that would be normal procedure, and it's not.
You would hope it would be normal.
Yes, you would hope, and it's not. And so that I truly am sometimes at a loss for words for, because it has made all the difference in the world. So that's the business side. On the personal side, I love my backyard. I would never leave my backyard if I didn't have to, because it's just a little bit of paradise. That when we moved up here, we came from Benicia, where it's very, very, very windy. And we looked at homes in Roseville, and my husband and I, maybe the first or second one we looked at, they had ceiling fans in the backyard, and was like, what is that all about? Well, we soon found out, but we had our kids at the time were 4 and 18 months and not been around a swimming pool, and so we said, well, we weren't sure if we wanted a house with a pool, but that was not going to drive our decision. So we bought a house on a court and put in a pool.
Nice.
And hence my backyard paradise. My son, who is 28, is still in Roseville. He's actually works for the Rosevillle Meat Market. If you haven't been there, fabulous place to buy. And he is going through the Sierra College Fire Academy.
Oh, very nice.
Yes, so we're excited about that. And my daughter and her husband, they got married in July of 2019. In January of 2020, pre-pandemic, they moved to London because they wanted to travel.
Wow.
So they're still in London, but they're not traveling. Darn it.
Welcome to 2020.
Yes.
I think we're at December, what is it, 65th?
Yes, I think so.
2020.
I think so. I wouldn't ask them to do anything I wouldn't expect myself to do.
Sure.
And this has been, obviously, for everybody, an extremely tough year. When we were working remotely, I would have to say that the people who work for a Chamber of Commerce are people persons.
Right.
Well, I think that they had COVID fatigue very early on. And so getting us back together, trying to have fun during getting work done has been very important. So we all are in this together, and we're trying whatever we can to make sure that our businesses succeed.
And I appreciate that. As a chamber member,
yes, you are.
I actually very much appreciate the people personness of your team, right? I've met a handful of them, and they're all phenomenal people. So as feedback from a chamber member, you guys are doing a great job, even through a craptastic experience internationally. But, you know, small slice of heaven on the home front, right?
Yes.
So, and I appreciate that.
Let me think about that one. Yes. So when I got here, I believe that there was maybe 1 or 2 restaurants that didn't have drive-through windows, and no other restaurants
Wow.
in town. No fine dining. No dining, never mind fine. There was no fine dining at all. On Harding Boulevard, that was the theater.
Okay.
So how long have you guys lived?
3 years.
Okay, so I think now it's the Radio Shack, if that's even still in business.
Probably
Not. So that was the theater, and it was a dollar theater, so that was
Wow.
even more special. On the west side of town, so my very first city council meeting was the unanimous approval of the Del Webb Sun City Roseville.
Nice. Okay.
And in hindsight, while I thought I had done my homework about the community that I was going to uproot my family and move to Rosevilles for, I had no clue what we were in for in Rosevilles as far as development. And I truly believe that Del Webb community, which was their first non-desert,
Okay.
changed the makeup and or the direction of where Roseville was heading.
Sure. It's still very family oriented, but it does skew older in Roseville. There's not as many young 20-somethings-y families. There's more 40-somethings plus families.
Right, but I think with West Roseville and the homes being built out there and the work from home
Oh yeah.
status that now, I didn't think it was possible to do that.
No.
I still would prefer not to do that, but we did it and realized that we can work remotely, and I think that based on that, we'll see those demographics adjusting a little.
I agree, and in fact, we're Bay Area transplants. I grew up in Pleasanton, she grew up in San Leandro, so
Okay.
we know the Benicia
Yes.
whole shenanigan very, very well. But we moved here from Livermore in 2018, and we looked at Roseville, we looked at Rockland, we looked at Lincoln. I wanted to look at Loomis, she didn't. We ended up in Orangevale. We're like 100 yards from the border. We're at Kenneth and Oak. So
Right.
you
And
could hit
because you have
Roseville with a
property.
football. I have a half acre, which is really, really hard to find in Roseville, unless you have 6 commas in your budget,
Right.
which we didn't.
Right.
But had I known what I know now, I would have been in Roseville. I would have sacrificed the huge land that I have for the amenities and the location of Roseville. So I'm kind of sad, but we're working on that. We're going to fix it this year, I think. And the sense of community. That's a good point.
Right.
Camera woman helping. The sense of community. There is, and that's why we're part of Roseville Rotary, not Orangeville Rotary, right? That's why we're part of the Roseville Area Chamber and not Midtown Chamber
Right.
or something. So we like Roseville. We spend all of our time, energy, and money in Roseville. We like
And
to
we
be part of
appreciate
Roseville.
that.
So, and we heart Roseville, right?
Yes.
Quite literally.
Oh, well, I think it was, I'm not sure how many years ago, where we just really attempted to educate not just our members, but the consumers, the residents, of the importance of shopping local. Get out of your house, go to a store. And maybe we were making progress, and then that all disappeared
Yeah.
with the pandemic, where it's very challenging to think that you can go, stand in line to get into a store.
Right.
And people just aren't willing to do that. They don't have the time, they don't have the energy, and there are some that would prefer not to ever leave their house now because of the pandemic. And we've seen the full spectrum here at the Chamber when we've attempted to put on some events and gather people, and you have the ones that are jumping up and down and want to be the first ones in, and the others
That's
that
us.
are just have no, they're not coming out of their house. And so with that, I think that shopping online has really been what people needed to do to survive, but certainly counterproductive to the effort that was underway when we were trying to get people to shop local so it would increase our sales tax revenue.
Right. Well, among other things,
Yes.
right? I'm a big fan of shopping local to pay for kids, ballerina costumes and,
Right.
and baseball uniforms, not, Bezos's 14th mansion, right?
Right.
So we have a unique perspective on the world. We eat out more than we should because we're on the move all the time. But I stopped donating to charities that aren't Rotary entirely. And now instead of donating money to charity where it goes to administrative costs and
Right.
that kind of stuff, I tip 50% on my bill when I eat out.
Oh my.
So it goes directly into my community, the Roseville community mostly, because I only eat at 4 restaurants in all of Roseville. But it's, it goes to the server, who then tips out the busboy and the bartender and the hostess, and it all stays in that little family and in Roseville as a whole, right? So I tell people about this all the time, because I think I read it on a Facebook post. I don't even know who posted it. This was 6 months ago. But I tell everybody, and 90% of folks I talk to have now started doing that as well. So I'm hoping, on one hand, I hope that it sticks forever, right? Because that's a really cool thing to do.
Right.
On the other hand, it makes dinner very expensive.
Very expensive, I'm sure, because
Right.
You have 2 kids?
Oh, 3.
3,
So we have
yes.
two under 10,
Okay.
and then a 17 that only comes around when she wants to.
Or when she's hungry.
Or wants money. So, Dad, I want a thing.
Yeah.
But it actually, it has a side benefit, not intended, but totally does, is we get really good service in restaurants now.
Now, you said you only go to 4?
Well, I'm like, it's like I'm 8. So I eat chicken nuggets and tater tots and mozzarella sticks pretty much my entire diet. So Bennett's is a favorite. Mario's on Rocky Ridge and Douglas, the second location.
Yes.
105 Noshery, and maybe 3 restaurants. Where else do we go?
Have you been to Gooseport for
No.
their? Oh my, they have loaded tater tots.
Oh, really?
Oh, they're delicious.
Gooseport. Okay. Oh, and Rosati's. We do order from Rosati's a lot.
Oh, she's wonderful.
She is.
Christine is wonderful.
But yeah, so we order lasagna to the house more often than we should.
Fun, huh? Well,
COVID notwithstanding.
yes. So I like to read.
Okay.
I like to be with family. So my sister, who lives in Reno, has a little place at Donner Lake.
Okay.
And to get in my car and drive to Donner is 1 hour and 10 minutes, door to door.
That's fantastic.
And it's paradise.
Yeah.
It's, if I'm going to leave my backyard paradise, I'll go to Donner Lake paradise. But just the difference in the summer, I mean, I'll leave here and it's 105 degrees and, get to Donner and she laughs at me because I'm putting on a sweatshirt. And it's like, yes, I left warm weather. It's cold up here.
I swam in Donner Lake too many years ago when I was 12. I remember I was at summer camp and I swam in Tahoe and in Donner in the same week. And I remember turning blue because it was probably like June and it was still snow melt.
Snow melting through, yep.
and you go in waist deep and you're like, yeah, I can't feel anything from my neck down and I'm not even in the water yet.
I'll be in a little bit of paradise.
Okay.
Someplace.
Perfect.
The chamber. Well, I mean, that's a discussion that certainly 2020 has caused us to have.
Right.
How do we remain relevant? What do we need to do to adjust in order to serve what businesses survive and what businesses, because some have thrived. I mean,
sure.
There are definitely some that have done better than others. And that is something, with our chamber board, I'm extremely proud of the fact that we have 21 members on our board, all very committed to our community as well. And so they are taking a serious look at, again, how are we going to survive and thrive? What's the chamber of the future look like?
Sure.
If for some reason, and I can't even believe that I might utter these words, but if we could never have another gathering of our members, what does that mean?
Sure.
So for us during this pandemic, one of the things that happened, so we had a triple whammy because with COVID, the majority of our money comes from our members who renew their dues. A portion comes from businesses who join the chamber, and the other portion comes from putting on events. So. We had 3 strikes, but we're not out yet.
Right.
We're
hanging
in there.
Thankfully.
And it caused us to realize that, or to help tell the chamber story, that there's more to us than events.
Right.
And take advantage of those things. And we did see our members stepping up and doing that. And while events are fun, I think that that's where maybe we'll start seeing some changes. Maybe there will be less events, more advocacy, more of that encouragement of our members getting involved at all levels of government so that they have a voice and can be heard.
Totally. I think that's a solid direction, actually. And I was bummed because I had heard about Splash in 2019. We just moved here. I heard about Splash, and we had the opportunity to go. Someone said, "Hey, I have extra tickets." It was Renee Perez, actually.
Okay.
Had 2 extra tickets, and I was like, I don't even know what that is. Like, I'm good. But I saw on the news the next day all the video and the things. I was like, we really should have gone. We could have gone, and we didn't. And then we'll go next year.
Yes.
Next year was last year.
Yes, that was going to be the 25th annual event for Splash, which is again dubbed Roseville's biggest party of the year, and just fabulous.
Right. It looked awesome on the video that I saw, but I've not been able to go, and I'm very disappointed in that. But same with, I think Rotary has similar challenges,
yes,
right? I'm vice president-elect for next year, by the way. I'll be vice president in the 21-22 year.
Congratulations.
Under Russell Trum's leadership, which is fantastic.
He'll keep you in line.
One way or another.
Yes.
But I think Rotary is struggling with the same relevance issues, right? The opportunities for service are greatly diminished. I shouldn't diminish because there's still a lot of opportunity, but there was 70 different things. Now there's one thing, but 70 things deep.
Right.
Right. The food banks can really use our support, volunteer hours and money. Where it was 50 programs, now it's down to a few. So, but it's similar shenanigans, right, to what the Chamber's experiencing.
I just had this conversation with my son. Do what you love and love what you do, and you'll never work another day in your life.
That is fantastic advice, and that's what we did. We left a business that we didn't like. I liked it at the beginning. I ran a business for 15 years. After 5, I hated it, but it paid really good money, so I didn't want to give it up. And then we finally sold it in 2018 and went, let's do something different. Let's go into real estate, because we like to not sleep, I guess.
Right.
I'm not sure why we did that.
Maybe one thing, you're right about the relevance of Rotary chambers. People join for different reasons, and if one of the things that has been very positive about the Roseville Rotary Club, and I'll switch hats, is the fact that through a lot of work we've been able to attract younger people to join the club. And if that hadn't happened, you can see the clubs around us that there should be some criteria, perhaps they shouldn't be there. And so to that end, the Chamber's been very committed also to making sure that that next generation of business owners and leaders see the value in a Chamber of Commerce and what it can do for and with your community. So that's something that is always on the top of mind. How do we do that? And again, this challenge that we had in 2020 has been something that has made us work smarter, sometimes harder, but more often than not it was working smarter and trying to reach out and making sure that we are having conversations with the right people to, if some people have never heard of a Chamber of Commerce, somebody called me and said they wanted to join the Chamber of Congress, and it's like, okay, so here we go.
Wrong number.
But for those, we have unbelievable volunteers who step up and lead. I mentioned we had 21 board members, and I can't thank them enough for their service. Again, during the pandemic, they stepped up, they assisted us getting us through this year. So I just think it's so vital that people get involved where they put down their roots, and that's one of the conversations we're having at the chamber level as new people are moving in here. How do we get them engaged in our community? Roseville has 2 downtowns. People don't realize that, and live out on the far west side of Roseville and may not ever come this way. And come to our downtown and then go into Old Town. And trying to get them connected to their community is so important, especially as there are so many homes out there on that side of town.
For real. So I was driving back from Amador County. I was with one of my agents, and there was no houses. Like, you're driving through Amador County, you don't see anything but grapes and weeds. And it came up, how many people live in Amador County? Like, this doesn't seem like there's anybody here. And there's like 38,000 people in all Amador County. And I was like, how big is Roseville? It's like 140,000 people. So there's literally more than 100,000 more people in the city of Roseville than in all of Amador County. That is a ridiculous stat to know. And now I know it, and now so do you.
Well, and the fact that Roseville and the county are on the books to grow and grow and grow.
Oh, yeah.
And it has to be managed, or we will lose that small town atmosphere that we have, because I think, again, I came here and the population was 52,000.
Yeah.
And it is now, as you said, 140,000. And while I have seen some of those changes, I still feel that pride and that sense of community, but a lot of it is because of what I live and breathe and do every day.
Of course.
Before I die, I'm going to see that street come to life, is all I can say.
Awesome.
So in addition to living on the Carquinez Straits and having the water, Benicia's downtown was something that was just very quaint and unique. And I miss that. Roseville deserves that.
100%.
And I think that now the biggest albatross in my mind for Roseville was that 4-story building that sat vacant for close to 10 years. People would drive through, perhaps wouldn't take the time to find out why it sat there empty for so long, but it sat empty, so that was a bad sign. So we're not coming here, we'll go someplace else. And now that the building is fully occupied.
Wasn't that the water district or something?
No, so the city has rented some of it. The post office is in it, the city's in it. There is some space, maybe now it's only the second floor that they are leasing out. But the gentleman that owned it for years, I guess needed a tax write-off. But again, very, very, very sad.
Yeah.
So we have proactive people in our economic development department, the city manager, who also share that vision for a vibrant downtown. And I do believe that it will happen.
I hope so. So I love Vernon Street. When we first moved here, we flipped houses. That was what we did before we got our real estate licenses. And we flipped a house on Vernon in Kirby Woods 3.
Okay.
So I was on Vernon a lot. And I was like, this could be really cool, but it's kind of scary, like rolling through it, not knowing anything about Roseville.
Right.
And now that I know a lot more, and I cruise down Vernon Street all the time, we're actually talking to Randy Peters on Friday. We're going to meet him at Nosh Bar, or Nosh Club, or whatever.
Noshery.
No, so yes.
Oh, the bar.
The bar. It's Nosh Bar, Nosh Club, or something. He's called it 3 different things in the same conversation, so I'm not sure what it's called.
You're going to 105.
Yes,
there
exactly.
You go.
So, but yeah, so I talked to him a little bit, and we're gonna interview him on Friday, like I said, and it's gonna be super cool. But one of his passions, he wants to open 2 more restaurants on that street.
Yes, he does.
So that is ambitious for anyone to open 3 restaurants within a block of each other.
Right.
I don't care where you are, but I think if anyone can do it, it's also during a pandemic. I think it's him. I think that he could pull it off. So
I think so too.
But I'm excited to see where that goes.
So with real estate, to me, is so surprising because that affordable housing project that was built on the Vernon Street, and there is no retail still in the bottom, and I just don't understand. It is, I know that probably on their end, some of it is parking, but I just don't get it. And then when people on the 200, 300, and 400 complain about no parking, it's like you have 2 parking garages and it's free.
Yeah, and they're a block away.
What are you talking about?
Yeah.
But I happen to be one of those lazy consumers that, I really like to park right in front of where I'm going. Don't make me walk.
Me too.
In the rain? I have to walk in the rain?
I didn't get fat by parking far away. That's all I'm going to say.
Yep, so.
Awesome. Well, I won't keep you. I know you have a very busy day. So thank you for taking the time to meet with us.
Thank you.
It was big fun. Thank you so much.
Yes, well, I'm glad I saw it on Facebook, which is how this all started. So welcome, and welcome to the Chamber. And
thank you.
God knows, maybe by the time you are Rotary President, you'll be able to have meetings.